This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. It's a beautiful day out today. I wish you could see out the window I'm looking at right now and see that we had so much rain over the last 2 days that everything is this bright, vibrant green. It is beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. The trees are beautiful. The sun is shining through the trees, so you see these rays coming down onto the green grass. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Listen, you and I think we're pretty smart people. You and I, we deal with the inflation that's hitting us every single day. We know when we see a recession. We know because we can feel it, we're living through it. We know that inflation is much higher than the wages that we currently earn. So we're in an upside down position. We know it, we feel it. So when we see these stupid bills that come out of the Senate saying that this is an inflation fighting bill, in actuality, it's raising inflation. You see, there are some provisions in that tax bill that raises taxes on you and me. In fact, it even goes down under the $200,000 wage limit. It is attacking every American. And it's not doing anything to fight inflation. If it was to fight inflation, they'd be cutting spending in the United States government. That's how you cut inflation. That's how you get to the nitty-gritty of a recession, is by what government is doing. So there's an article then in Today, in Fox Business. And it literally states, it says, most Americans will feel tax pain from Democrats' inflation bill despite Biden's past promises. And so they go through this analysis and they go through it line by line as to how it's going to affect you and me. And it's going to affect. It's going to affect small businesses. It's going to affect your gig economy. It's going to affect your wages because it's going to mean higher taxes on you. Now, when you raise taxes, you raise inflation. That means you have less money to spend because you're paying more into taxes. If these individuals, Manchin and Schumer, were smart, they wouldn't even suggest doing this bill. In fact, I'll put the link down below on this article. There's an article that came out today that said, White House admits Inflation Reduction Act pushed by Manchin will barely even do anything. Why even push this bill? Why even vote yes for this bill? I don't know what was going through Senator Manchin's mind. First, he says, I can't support this bill because of it's going to create more inflation. And then he turns around, votes for the same bill he said no to, and now there's a bill that's going to raise inflation, not reduce it. So Senator Manchin is lying to you. Schumer is lying to you. The Senate Democrats are lying to you. The White House is lying to you. The bill that is before the Senate at the moment is going to raise inflation. It creates, I think it was like 87,000 new IRS jobs. That's raising inflation because now you're adding more costs to the U.S. government. It does nothing in that bill addresses inflation. What it does, it increases it. It raises it. It makes it worse off for the American people. So you wonder what goes through these senators' minds. I just don't get it. They know in their hearts that this bill is not an inflation-fighting bill. But yet they can stand up in front of us and lie to us right to our faces. It's time that Americans hold these people accountable. I mean, for the last year, you and I know that inflation has hurt us greatly. We now count every single penny because we are not quite sure when we get our paychecks if it's going to cover everything. A lot of you are now in the rears with your mortgage. There are individuals out there, and I think I'm talking to some of you, that have not paid your mortgages in 3 and 4 months. Now, the banks haven't come after you, but you are in pre-foreclosure mode. And about November of this year is when we're going to start seeing a whole bunch of foreclosures. So we know that the banking industry is going to be hit hard. We know that if we talk to our bankers now, there's all kinds of fees that we are being charged so that they can make some money. The banks are in trouble. I want you to really grasp that part of truth, is that the banks are in trouble. We have the highest amount of repossessions of automobiles that we've seen in many, many years, because people are unable to make their payments. Cell phone bills. A lot of us are behind in our cell phone bills because we don't have the cash flow to support a cell phone. We can go on and on with the list of what we're not doing at the moment because we can't afford it. We have an upside down economy at the moment, and the government continues to spend money. They continue to print money. They continue to tax us because they feel that that's how you fight inflation. No, the way you fight inflation is starting to attack government expenses and start tearing it down, bit by bit, cutting the cost of operating a government. Now is not the time to be raising taxes. Now is not the time to push a fake bill that says that they're going to fight inflation when it creates inflation. We're going in the wrong direction. The Democratic Senate is taking us in the wrong direction. Manchin is taking us in the wrong direction. Schumer is taking us in the wrong direction. Biden's taking us in the wrong direction. You and I know. We feel it. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but we feel it every single day because we are living with a limited amount of cash flow. We should have more in our pockets. But because inflation is so high, we have had a reduction in our cash flow. I myself, I get tired of going to the grocery store. I just hate going there anymore. Because I know that everything that I'm buying is 3 times as much as it used to be. And every time I go down the aisles, I'm looking for special deals now. I'm looking for 2-for-1s. I'm looking for all of these things. And I am frustrated because I see other people doing the same thing. An older man in his late 70s was so upset. He picked up some instant coffee and he said, this was $5 cheaper last week. Now I can't afford this. It's gone up in price so much. This is affecting the elderly. It's affecting the poor. It's affecting the middle class. It's affecting everyone. And yet the government wants to push and push and push to get more money out of us. They're trying to suck us dry until we have nothing left. I love this nation. I love you guys out there. And I know that you guys are struggling because you tell me. Every single day you tell me how you're struggling. And I wish I could snap my fingers and do magic and say, okay, Schumer's out, Manchin's out, Biden's out, and we're going to put a new team in there. The most important thing at the moment is that you and I are trying to survive, and we are literally working with budgets that are not even budgets anymore. It's a wish list. I'm hoping that I can buy food for this next week. I'm hoping that I can get gas to go to work. I'm hoping that my children are going to be okay by sending less in their lunches. I'm hoping. We are based upon hope now. You see, we've let government go out of control. We as the voter have let government go rampant, and now we need to pull them back. And I'm sorry, but we have remained silent for too long. And now it's time for us to speak up and say, either you stop spending or you're out of that office, you're out of that job. And you better start looking for ways of cutting the expenses of government, not increasing them. You don't need to add another 87,000 IRS employees. You don't need that. You don't need to buy bullets for the IRS. You don't need to spend money on research projects that are absolutely worthless. We don't have to give money to foreign countries that don't like us. We have got to stop this spending spree. It's gotten out of hand. And every time it gets out of hand, it takes money out of our hands. It's amazing. I don't know how we as Americans have let this happen. Maybe it's time that we march upon Washington and say, stop spending. Because if you spend any more, we're going to destroy you. We're going to destroy you in our polls. We are not going to vote for any more of this nonsense. It's time that we got somebody in the White House that is truly a hatchet man and begins to hatchet away at all of these expenses. When was the last time that you heard a senator, we're going to reduce the size of government? No, every time they increase it because that is their power base. The unions that support those new jobs in government provide funding to those senators and congresspeople. It's a destructive world. It's a destructive government that we have at the moment because they are literally destroying American lives. So I'm going to ask something of you this morning. Please get on the phone today and start pounding upon Manchin. Start pounding upon your senator. Start pounding upon your members of Congress. Start pounding upon the White House and say, enough is enough. We don't want this bill. We don't want this inflation fighting bill because it does harm to our nation. And if it does go into the Senate and they vote on it, mark your pieces of paper and put the names down who voted for this. Because they're doing harm to you and they're doing harm to me. And it is time that we take back control of our nation. Overspending has got to end. And we got to look at where we're going to cut costs. That's what we have to do in our lives, right? That's what we have to do in our small businesses. We have to look at ways of how we're going to be able to go forward, and we have to cut something. And now is the time that we need to start cutting out politicians who vote for this bill. Mark my word, if this bill goes through, you and I will be taxed more. There's no questions about it. Tax Foundation says that it will hurt us. Independent congressional caucuses are saying it's going to hurt us. We've got to stop this. This is Mike Lodge. If you want to have more access to me, go to www.lodge-co.com. Again, that's www.lodge-co.com. Everybody, have a great day. Call your senator, call your members of Congress, and say no on this inflation, this fake inflation bill. Bye-bye.